Hi everyone, welcome back to Tucson, Arizona. I'm Randy. So another little, hopefully helpful tip for anyone getting started in the RC world, particularly bashers, or anyone who is unfamiliar with some of these trucks or hasn't had the same problems that I've had. If you've never been here before, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I own lots of RCs and I try to mix it up with everything I've got. I try to come up with new videos every time I go out. So in this one, I'm going to talk about strength. So no matter what RC you get into, and I know you're going to see it again, guys, this is for particularly newer people to the world of RCs. If you've already heard this before, or if you disagree with me, please let me know what you disagree with and what you think I'm wrong about. I'm always open to it. I'm always open to learn something new. My ego isn't really attached to any of this. So, strength. First off, buy whatever RC you really want to buy. I know there's a lot out there. The world is full, the internet's full of information about RCs. Some of it's going to be misleading because someone is a big fan of that brand. Some of it's going to be misleading because they hate another brand or anything in between, or each person's experience is going to vary. Some people bash the hell out of their trucks like I do. I really torture these things. Other people don't torture them as badly, but have different experiences with them. So they might go, oh man, it was doing this or doing that. Where for someone bashing, none of that matters. So it's going to come down to end user use and experience. So strength was a big thing that I, coming up, thought, oh man, everything needs to be aluminum. It needs to be built like a freaking tank. That's not always true. In a lot of cases, especially with bashers, the more aluminum you put on them, the more brittle you're actually making your truck. Or you're transferring problems from one part of your truck to another part of your truck, which leads me to like the Max. One of the most versatile RCs I've ever owned. I love this thing. It can be complicated. If you're looking at buying one, you can't go wrong. It's a freaking tank. But when I bought this Max, is a V1. When I bought this, it had all aluminum, everything for the chassis. It still has, if you look in here, see these metal, this blue shiny right there, the casters. Those are the original metal casters I got with it. Those are awesome. I always recommend putting metal casters on any truck, two-wheel drive, big basher, 8S, 6S, doesn't matter. Those are going to help in a lot of different ways. But with your control arms, if you've got a truck like this, double wishbone suspension, having metal, which here's all my metal, like it's beautiful. It's really durable. I mean, it looked gorgeous on the truck. They took a lot of abuse, as you can see by the shine from that anodized blue coming off of the lower. If you can see that. They're awesome. Super strong. Amazing. They're also expensive because these aren't cheap pieces. This is all high-end nonsense that now sits in a box. I hang on to them in case I pick up another V1 and decide I'm an idiot and I want to put them back on. The metal's cool to brag about, and I was super freaking stoked when I picked this truck up. Having all matching blue anodized aluminum around the entire chassis. Even the shocks on this thing are the same matching blue. Like, I was so stoked about this truck. Like, everything matches. It's all metal. This thing's amazing. It's never gonna die. Boy, was I wrong. I killed this truck a lot. Pretty much every time I'd take it out bashing, I was killing something in this truck. Now, I never had a problem with any of the electronics. I did, however, swap them because I'm an idiot and I wanted to go a lot faster. 6S is not for the Max, even on a wide kit with bigger tires. So now I'm running Badlands. I got them on the next Creighton, the second Creighton that I bought, and I had bought Copperhead 2s for this, and they look kind of silly being as big as they were, so I swapped them around. Now, with that aluminum, these arms and the casters Now you've got a lot of stiffness, a lot of real rigid strength from your tire to your bulkhead, right? Every time I do a big impact, or I have a habit of letting a lot of my friends who aren't into RCs run RCs at like holidays or get-togethers or whatever. Every year I do a Father's Day event. I invite a lot of friends over and I hand them all radios. Sadly, I don't have a lot of slow trucks. So my friends who don't know anything about RC and can't really control them well, and they're doing, 55 plus an hour, things break. And it's always an expensive week after any time I hand one of my friends a radio. But all that stiffness from the outside edge of your tire to the bulkhead is going to cause you problems when you have a hard impact. I was replacing bulkheads on this truck left and right. So, get this out of the way now. So underneath this skid plate right here, where all that blue attaches, so upper and lower control arms, there's a differential in there for the four-wheel drive, right? So that bulkhead is all hard plastic. Now the difference between plastic and metal is plastic is pretty forgiving. It will flex. It won't pick up a bend. It'll flex to a certain point until it snaps, but it will flex pretty damn far, even these thick arms. Metal will either stay rigid and pass that energy on down the line, or it'll bend, and in some cases snap. These arms would probably bend before they snap. The problem is none of those are bent. So on any big impact, wham, right? You're doing 55, you clip something, and you just take a tumble. All those hard impacts are transferring all the way up your suspension. I can get a good angle without the tire in the way. So from the outside, all up the arm to the bulkhead, where the bulkhead then detonates and breaks. And once that bulkhead breaks, your diff inside is no longer held in place properly, so it's moving around. You have a center drive shaft going from your motor assembly and all that fun stuff, your cush drive on an X-Max, all that. But your center diff your center drive shaft is going from front diff to rear diff. It's just a long aluminum tube where you've got connectors on the end that are tied to your two diffs. Now, when all of that's not in place and it's not exactly where it should be, it's all being held in by molded plastic and bearings. When that's allowed to slop around, now you're going to destroy teeth on your differentials because they're not in a line anymore. Your mesh is way out and you're just going to start chipping teeth away. So the problem starts compounding. Now you've lost a $10 front assembly, but you start damaging everything else up the drive if you don't notice that it's broken right away, which has definitely happened to me. And I'm like, wow, man, my truck sounds terrible. And then I start tearing it apart and I go, oh, there's a giant crack up the bulkhead and I've destroyed all the gears inside. So, and from there you can start destroying the internals in your diffs too. So strength is a good thing when put in the right part of the truck. They do make aluminum diffs for pretty much every vehicle out there. This isn't unique to the Max either. This is almost every truck I've had. If I put too much aluminum on it, I start shattering parts farther and farther into the truck. And if you've ever owned a Max, you know they're kind of complicated. There's a lot going on here. This will take me, an experienced person who's now replaced these bulkheads front and rear several times. I can be done screwing with this truck. I take my time, but even if I'm in a hurry up and get it done, it's still hours of my day tearing this apart, replacing everything, checking all the teeth of everything, checking the mesh of everything, re-greasing, putting everything back together, cleaning up, putting the body back on, and ripping again. That's half a day gone for a bulkhead because I had shiny aluminum parts on my truck. So if you're looking into upgrading those parts on your truck, be mindful of what the harder part of metal is connected to on either side, because something's going to break. Energy has to be transferred. It's going to go to the weakest point in line, and it's going to break that. Now, the way these bulkheads are, a piece coming out, and you got a shaft going through, and then your arm goes on the outside, and you've got a rod that runs through everything. I've broken that tab off, smooth off the bulkhead. I've cracked the bulkhead all the way through. I've broken it several different ways, but it's always the thing that breaks. Since I've done the Wide Max kit, and now it's all plastic except for the casters, because with plastic casters, I've never run them on this one, but a friend of mine, this is his favorite truck, so he's got like 5 or 6 between V1 and V2, all with different builds. Some are Wide Max, some are standard, some have aluminum, some are all plastic, kind of everything in between, because it's the most versatile truck in his opinion. I don't disagree. But for all the guys who are not into traxxas, I'm never going to convince you to get one, but they're kind of complicated. There's a lot going on. Breaking something sucks. Try not to set up, build yourself for failure. So since doing this, I've had nothing break on it, and now it's 6S, so now it's kind of stupid, and nothing is broken yet. And I've done pretty big impacts, and I've done well. So removing all that aluminum has certainly strengthened the truck. So that's something to kind of think about. And that's just this guy. Yeah, body's a bit beat up. But a couple weeks ago, I was out bashing, and I had both Creightons out. I was running my Crayton. My wife was running what is now her Crayton. This is hers. So V5 with all the fixins. This truck has been like the most bulletproof vehicle, most like, yeah, of everything I have, really. Outside of like the 2-wheel drive stuff that isn't really being bashed. Things on that get broken mostly because of wrecks or slapping into poles or something. But this thing for general mayhem, this and my e-Revo. I haven't had any problems with my e-Revo ever either. So they kind of go hand in hand. Like, just kind of what is more your preference? They got a very similar build. This has a lot of upgrades. I mean, that's metal front and rears. It's got the center brace. This thing is built. And it's built to take a beating because I'm hard on it. We just took these out. We're flying. I made a video about it. I've got a short up of when I when I thought I detonated the front end of my truck. I don't think I was recording this wreck. Very similar wrecks, though. Really big air, about 15 feet vertical, 30 feet out easy. Just monstrous to the moon air. The other Crayton, which is an older, I think it's like a V1 or a V2, chassis is different. Everything about it's just a little different. That takes a big tumble, lands on this front rear tire at a pretty hard angle, kind of like that, and then just kind of tumbles and cartwheels. I start driving again, and in the video you can find that it's pretty rough, and I actually walk up to it and I look, and my front drive shaft is out of the socket. So out of the cup from the diff, and it looks like I shattered the front end. So I stopped playing. Eventually I do the exact same thing to my wife's Crayton to a very similar outcome. So I'm like, well, I somehow detonated 2 front ends on 2 different Craytons. Like, that kind of sucks, and it's unheard of. I've never done it. So I get back home and I start messing with both of them. This one survived, and this is just RPM. No, mine survived. So the older model survived. It just somehow hyperextended. I still don't understand how it didn't break an upper or lower control arm to do this, but it hyperextended and actually pulled the shaft out of the cup on the front diff. So I took everything apart, put everything back together, and everything's fine. Like, nothing's broken. Baffled. Hers, however, I did break. Now, I don't know. Put that on some color. You can see that. That is not okay. This one's still fine. So I said, screw it. I've never put aluminum on either one of these Creightons, so I figured I'd try some lowers, see what happens. I'm afraid of doing the exact same thing to this that I was just talking about on the Max. But these aluminums got here really fast, and I was trying to go do some more bashing the very next day, and I wanted this truck on the road. So I'll try them out. I think I'm going to try kind of easing into it and seeing how it handles. And because it's my wife's truck, I'm not really allowed to drive it much anymore because I'm so hard on things, and this is her pride and joy at this point. I think it'll be fine. I'll probably never have to replace another one again unless she hands me the radio. But this is the first. I've had this truck a long time, and this is the first time I've broken one of these. I have seen videos of other people having this be a real problem. So I don't know if I've just somehow gotten lucky and just now broke these, because I'm seeing a lot of other people break these a lot. I don't know. But just be cautious when putting aluminum on your suspension, because that energy has to transfer somewhere, especially if you're bashing. On a hard impact at weird angles, especially if you're getting used to this. Again, for the newer people, when you're flying, if you're really good with your throttle control, you can manipulate these to a point in the air. That's not always going to work out, but if you get good at it, there's dudes out there that can do crazy aerobatics with Creightons. I've watched them. There's a dude that climbs up, runs up trees, does backflips. He runs them like through tree branches and out of trees. It's kind of wild. The dude's doing just insane stuff. I wish I could think of his channel right now. One of these days I'll mention it or drop it in a comment. They're amazing trucks. I love them. I did just do a video about my newest one that I picked up having a very weak servo. I kind of went over that. Servos are important. Make sure you research whatever truck you're looking at buying and understand how you want it set up, what you're trying to do. If you just want to send it to the moon off big jumps, hey, I love it. I'm here for it. Make sure some of your stuff is built for it. Make sure you've got good shocks. Metal shock caps is really going to come in handy there on those big impacts. If you've just got stock shocks, you have a tendency of just blowing the cap right off your shock. My son was doing that last weekend. Even then, you can still run into things. My X-Max, the last time I drove it, I was trying some pretty big jumps, and I actually snapped the bottom off of a shock. That kind of sucked, and I just had springs everywhere. I had parts fly everywhere. I found them all, and then I finally replaced them with the tin TIN. I don't know if they're tin coated like the metal or if that's just I don't know. Don't look into it. Don't care. They're better. That truck's back together. But yeah, shocks are a big deal if you're bashing. Make sure you got good ones. Research the fluid. Kind of find out what you think you want for dampening. I run 30 weight in pretty much everything I have, and it's always worked out well for me. Metal. What else? Tires, good tires. You're going to find that there's a litany of different style tires out there, and you can find some cheap ones that are really great. You find some expensive ones that really suck. So it really comes down to stiffness and pattern for what you're trying to do. I've had some really aggressive Chevron style tires that suck on the road but are amazing off-road, and especially in like the sand and the mud. So yeah, that's one that a friend of mine really complains a lot about when he buys tires and they're a little too stiff. He hates that. But then when they're really soft, you start running into problems there too. So take some time and look into what you're wanting to do. If you're just wanting to go general, all around, blacktop, dirt, rocks, mud, grass, like if you want it to be kind of everything, really dig deep into that, because they're probably going to run you a little bit more expensive, and you might wear them down pretty quick running on the blacktop. I certainly do. I burn through tires when I'm on the road. So yeah, those are a few more things I could think of this evening. I had a few comments. Thank you guys so much for leaving comments, and like it's been really fun to be able to interact with people about what they have to say and what they're thinking about. So please keep it coming. If there's something else you want to see, if there's a truck that you don't know anything about, if I don't have it, I probably know someone who does, or who knows, I might put it on my shopping list and pick one up. But if there's something that you want to know about, and it's the truck that I have, I'm more than happy to get on and do video and talk about whatever. One of these days, when I feel like I've got the time and the energy, I'll go live again and maybe start just slowly bringing trucks in and talking about trucks. I really enjoy that when other channels do that. But as you see, I don't really have all my trucks here. I've got a lot over here off camera and a lot outside in a shop, because they kind of don't fit in here. So yeah, if there's anything else if you got questions, feel free to drop them in there. I know personally, Google's a great place to start, but there's only so much information you can find there. You can reach out to me, and there's literally hundreds of amazing RC channels out there that also have amazing experience and do really fun things, and in a lot of cases make better videos than me. But yeah, if you have any questions, anything else you'd like to learn about, anything you want to see or talk about, please leave a comment. So I think that's kind of it for now. Strength. Be careful where you put strong parts. Just be mindful. So thanks for hanging out. I'm Randy, Tucson, Arizona. Peace.